Let's start with our first news. Alexander Volkanovski gives his prediction for Alex Pereira versus Ciryl Gane. Alexander Volkanovski gives his prediction for Alex Pereira versus Ciryl Gane. He breaks down the matchup, explaining that Gane is not a fighter who panics or rushes in. Instead, he works behind a long, disciplined jab, staying on the back foot and controlling distance. He describes the jab as clean, untelegraphed, and difficult to read, with minimal movement and no obvious setup. Gane keeps things simple but effective, using timing and angle changes to avoid danger while staying safe. However, Volkanovski believes that Alex Pereira will eventually find moments to pressure and land heavy shots if the fight gets chaotic. He emphasizes that Pereira has the power to turn the fight in an instant, especially when he cuts off the cage and forces exchanges. At the same time, he acknowledges Gane's ability to draw opponents into traps by pulling them into range and countering cleanly. He recalls how Israel Adesanya previously managed to lure Gane into shots, showing that even a disciplined striker can be caught. Volkanovski states that the heavyweight division makes everything more dangerous, with even single jabs carrying serious impact. He believes both fighters are capable of landing big shots first, making the matchup extremely unpredictable. In the end, he calls it a 50-50 fight and says something massive is likely to happen on the White House card. Ultimately, he leans toward Alex Pereira, believing that one explosive moment could decide everything. That is his final pick for the fight, and he expects a knockout finish if things break Pereira's way. The anticipation for this matchup continues to grow as fans debate who will impose their style first in the octagon under the brightest spotlight of the event, and the heavyweight stage remains electric throughout fight week. Buzz continues strong. Move on to another news. Ilya responds to Justin Gaethje's comments after their recent exchange sparked controversy across fight fans. This all started when Gaethje brought up Ilya's personal life, referencing his recent divorce and calling him a whiny little guy, also saying that if he were in that situation, he would have left him too. The comments quickly spread online and triggered a strong reaction from Ilya. Ilya then took to Instagram to fire back, posting a direct message in his caption. He wrote that someone is going to stop talking very soon when he eats these hands. The statement was short, aggressive, and clearly meant as a warning, signaling that he is ready to settle things inside the cage rather than continue the back and forth online. Fans immediately reacted to the post, with many calling for a potential fight between the two to be made next. Meanwhile, in another major development, Chapter 2, Jon Jones versus Daniel Cormier, in the works. Reports suggest that a wrestling match between Jon Jones and Daniel Cormier could actually become reality. The two former UFC rivals have recently finished filming Aleph Reality, and that appearance seems to have opened the door for another competitive showdown between them. According to Aleph Global boss Alfredo Auditor, discussions have already progressed significantly. He revealed on social media that a wrestling match between Jon Jones and Daniel Cormier has been arranged within their PWL league. He added that it is almost confirmed from both sides and encouraged fans by saying, "Let's do it." This news has shocked the combat sports world, as the rivalry between Jones and Cormier remains one of the most intense in MMA history. Adding even more action to the upcoming schedule, Josh Hokett is set to face Derek Lewis at the White House card on June 14th. This matchup brings heavyweight power into one of the most talked about events of the year, adding further excitement to an already stacked lineup. Derek Lewis, known for his knockout power, will once again be tested against a strong opponent in a high-pressure environment. With Ilya's heated response, the potential return of Jones versus Cormier in a wrestling setting, and major fights being lined up for the White House event, the combat sports world continues to stay active, unpredictable, and full of major developments across multiple divisions and promotions at the same time. Move on to another news. Carlos Prates has reportedly leaked details about a potential Islam Makhachev versus Ian Gary matchup targeted for August 15th. According to Prates, the Dagestani training room is about to be extremely busy as Islam Makhachev prepares for what could be a high-stakes welterweight title defense against Ian Machado Gary. The situation has taken an unexpected turn as Carlos Prates revealed that he is beginning a full fight camp specifically to serve as the official backup fighter for the event. He claims he has insider information suggesting that Islam's next opponent will be Ian Gary, although the fight has not been officially confirmed by the promotion. Despite that, Prates insists he is preparing as if the matchup is already locked in. Prates made it clear that if anything happens to either Islam Makhachev or Ian Gary, he will be ready to step in immediately. He stated that the promotion would call him, and he would not hesitate to accept the opportunity. This move positions him as a key safety option for one of the most anticipated possible fights of the summer. This is seen as a massive power move from the Brazilian striker, who has been gaining momentum following a dominant performance over JDM. That victory has pushed him closer to the top of the welterweight contender rankings, and now he is actively inserting himself into the title picture by acting as the official backup for a potential championship bout. Prates explained his mindset in detail, saying he believes the fight will take place on August 15th. He mentioned discussing his plans with his coach, outlining a schedule that includes traveling to the Netherlands, then Hungary, and returning to Brazil before beginning a full training camp. His goal is to be fully prepared for anything that happens involving Makhachev or Gary. He also stated that even without official confirmation from the UFC, he is confident in his position near the top of the division. He believes he does not need a formal call to know what is happening, saying that if something changes, he will be ready to step in instantly. He is assembling a strong training team, including high-level grapplers, to simulate a full championship-level camp over the next 8 weeks. When asked if he had spoken directly with the UFC about being a backup fighter, Prates admitted he had not, but emphasized that he does not see it as necessary. He believes his position and readiness speak for themselves. He added that while some fighters avoid backup roles and prefer to wait, he has no issue stepping in if needed. Prates closed his comments by reaffirming his willingness to fight, making it clear that he is fully prepared for the opportunity and ready to compete if called upon. Move on to another news. Francis Ngannou has made a powerful statement, calling out Jon Jones and explaining exactly how he would approach a potential contract for the long-awaited super fight. The heavyweight star made it clear that this is not just speculation, but a real desire before he closes the chapter on his fighting career. Francis Ngannou stated that Jon Jones is the fight he truly wants before retirement. He emphasized that while many people understand why the fight has not happened yet, it does not change his personal interest in making it a reality. According to him, if he had to choose one final fight before walking away, Jon Jones would be the one. He added that the decision is now in the hands of the promoters, urging them to bring him the contract. Ngannou explained that he is fully willing to review any offer, and if everything is right and fair, he will sign immediately. This puts the responsibility on the business side to make the matchup happen while both fighters are still active. The debate around who is the true #1 heavyweight in the world has been ongoing for years. Fans have constantly argued over Jon Jones and Francis Ngannou. And now with Francis openly expressing interest, the demand for this fight has reached another level. Both fighters are seen as dominant forces, and the matchup remains one of the biggest hypothetical clashes in combat sports history. Ngannou also addressed questions about contracts and negotiations, making it clear that he has no issue with agreements themselves. Instead, he pointed out that his concern lies in how contracts are structured and used within the sport. He described himself as a businessman, emphasizing that a contract is an agreement between two sides that both must honor. He stated that whenever he signs a contract, he ensures he fulfills his part completely, and he expects fairness in return. According to Ngannou, the key requirement is simple: bring the contract, and he will evaluate it carefully. If it meets the right standards, he is ready to sign without hesitation. Francis repeated that fairness is the most important factor in any deal. He explained that he is not asking for anything beyond what is reasonable, only that the terms are balanced and respectful to both sides. If that condition is met, he sees no reason why the fight with Jon Jones cannot be finalized. With Ngannou publicly pushing for the fight and outlining his willingness to negotiate, attention now shifts back to the promoters and whether they can finally bring together two of the most feared heavyweight champions in modern combat sports history before either man leaves the sport for good. Move on to another news. Jon Jones and Daniel Cormier might be about to shock the combat sports world with a reunion nobody expected, and this time it is not inside the octagon. According to Russian promoter Alfredo Auditori, a wrestling match between the two legendary rivals is officially in the works under the PWL League. Auditori stated that the matchup is almost confirmed from both sides. a claim that immediately sparked massive attention online. The idea of Jon Jones and Daniel Cormier competing again, years after their brutal rivalry in the light heavyweight division, has stunned fans who thought that chapter of their careers was completely closed. Their history is one of the most intense in MMA. The two shared multiple title fights filled with bad blood, heated buildups, and unforgettable moments that defined an era. Now, the possibility of them stepping onto a wrestling mat years later brings a completely unexpected twist to their rivalry, especially with Daniel Cormier now retired and working comfortably as a commentator. The idea of him returning to competition in any form has surprised many. Despite retirement, the potential return of DC for this wrestling showcase has created huge buzz. Fans are questioning how both athletes would look outside of MMA, especially in a pure grappling environment where both men have elite wrestling backgrounds. The announcement has quickly spread across the combat sports community, building anticipation for what could become a highly watched spectacle. Meanwhile, Jon Jones continues to stay in the spotlight for reasons beyond just fighting. A separate viral video has surfaced online showing him reacting to a fan interaction that quickly escalated into chaos. In the clip, Jones encounters a fan who had his face tattooed directly on his leg, a moment that immediately caught his attention. Jones appeared visibly shocked and emotional during the interaction, reacting loudly as the situation unfolded. The unusual tribute left him stunned, with the moment quickly spreading across social media and sparking reactions from fans worldwide. Between the unexpected announcement of a potential wrestling match with Daniel Cormier and the viral fan encounter, Jon Jones remains at the center of attention across the combat sports world. His legacy continues to generate headlines, whether inside competition or outside of it, as fans closely watch every development involving one of the sport's most talked about figures. Move on to another news. Tom Aspinall is reportedly refusing to fight under his current UFC contract conditions, following major comments made by Eddie Hearn after signing the heavyweight contender to Matchroom Talent Agency. As most fans know, Tom Aspinall has recently aligned himself with Eddie Hearn, a move that immediately sparked major discussion in combat sports circles. Now, Eddie Hearn has made it clear that he will not allow Aspinall to take certain fights under his existing UFC deal, especially high-profile matchups against Alex Pereira or Ciryl Gane, under what he describes as unfair financial terms. Speaking in an interview with Bloody Elbow, Eddie Hearn did not hold back. He stated that he is not going to let Tom Aspinall compete for what he considers extremely low pay compared to the revenue generated by massive heavyweight events. He pointed out that fighters in these positions are often earning only a small fraction of what the promotion makes, describing it as around 150th of the total revenue of the show. Hearn strongly criticized the current structure, saying that fighters should not accept being undervalued. He argued that athletes at the elite level deserve significantly better compensation, especially for blockbuster fights that generate huge global attention. According to him, the system is taking advantage of fighters, and he believes it is time for change. He went further, saying that UFC fans would be shocked if they knew the exact amount Tom Aspinall is expected to earn for fights of this magnitude. He claimed that once the real numbers become public, fans would be stunned and even upset by how uneven the distribution is. In his view, the situation is not fair and needs immediate attention. Eddie Hearn also emphasized that he plans to eventually reveal a specific figure regarding Aspinall's pay, suggesting that it will highlight the gap between fighter compensation and event revenue. He believes that exposing these details will show why fighters like Aspinall need stronger representation and better negotiation power. This stance has now created tension around Aspinall's future fights, particularly as fans continue to call for major heavyweight matchups. With his growing status in the division, his contract situation has become a major talking point across MMA, raising questions about how future negotiations will unfold and whether top fighters will begin challenging the current financial structure more aggressively. Move on to another news. Khabib Nurmagomedov says he can still keep up with elite young fighters inside his gym, stating that despite being retired, he remains competitive at a high level because he never absorbed significant damage during his UFC career. He explains that he has had a couple of surgeries, particularly on his knee and back, but overall, he feels fully fine and considers himself in good condition after retirement. He says he still trains and competes with some of the best fighters in the world, as many of his students are top-level athletes, pushing elite pace in the gym. He emphasizes that during his fighting career, he did not take serious damage in fights, saying his face was always fine and he was happy after wins, and that he avoided the kind of brain damage and heavy physical wear many fighters experience. Because of this, he believes his body and mind are in a better state compared to many retired fighters. He then addresses the topic of aging, admitting honestly that he does think about getting older. He says every day, every year, a person becomes older, and he will never be 36 again. He mentions he is 37 now and will be 38 next year, highlighting the reality of time passing. He reflects on the uncertainty of life, saying nobody knows when their time will end. He refers to his father, who passed away at 56, and his grandfather, who lived only until 53, while another grandfather lived up to 84. He uses this to show that lifespans are unpredictable and cannot be controlled. He adds that while he does not like the idea of getting older, it is something everyone in the world has to face. He says it is part of what Allah has given, and people must accept and deal with it with understanding and gratitude. He concludes by saying that this reality serves as an important reminder for him about life, time, and mortality, and he continues to approach it with respect and awareness. He also notes that training alongside hungry young contenders keeps him sharp mentally and physically, even after retirement from professional competition. However, he makes it clear that he is no longer chasing fights or competition outside the gym, and his focus is more on guiding his students and maintaining a healthy lifestyle rooted in discipline and faith.